Hey guys, thanks for checking out the podcast. Before we get started, I want to remind you about the very cool bucket list trip I am doing in 2026, the Smitty Learns Irish podcast, where I'm going to do my bucket list, hike Ireland for a year, learn about Irish history, town by town, through the mouths of the pub owners and regulars. Because what's a better way to learn about something you love than to experience it yourself? Patreon.com/we3Smiths, only $3 a month, and thanks for checking it out.
Is that when you said blowjob on the radio?
Like 10 times. I'll tell you the story. I bought all this equipment. I bought 3 microphones, but I didn't pay attention to what I was buying. It's a 3-pack. Oh, I have 9 microphones. What the hell am I going to do? Interview a baseball team? I'm tired of your fucking bullshit, you know what I mean? I'm tired of all of this nonsense that I just want no part of anymore. I'm going to do my own fucking thing. Fuck all of that. 2, 1, action. What the hell, everything? Holy cow, it is a happy, holy shit, a happy, what the hell, everything day. What the hell, everything night live streaming, very few and far between, although I am going to try and do this more. Live streaming the show at night. I have a lot of nighttime available. Welcome to the What the Hell Everything podcast. My name is Smitty. If you are following along at all on the live stream, at any point during the live stream, if you're checking it out, you want to comment, you want to throw any sort of anything into the comment section on the live chat, then I'll do my best to interact. Probably won't be until the end of the show when I'm ready to wrap it up. I'm going to check out. Oh, do we got any comments? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Before we get started on the podcast, really, I want to give a shout out. You hear some music playing in the background, and this was actually given to me by a friend of mine that said, check this out. This dude, Cameron Neve, the YouTube link for this playlist is on the description of the YouTube video and at the Spotify and the audio playlist as well. Shared it to me. It's like 5-6 songs, something like that. And what did she say? So he's only been playing music since September. I'm like, that's fucking tackling it pretty good. So we're just kind of skipping along a couple different songs from this playlist. Since fucking September, man. Was that 3 months? Something like that? And anytime somebody, anytime I find music from a musician, especially music from a musician, that's redundant. Shut up, Smitty. But anytime I find anything where, somebody's really starting out and really fucking trying to give it a go, man, you got to pimp it out as much as you can. You got to encourage that creativity. But before we get started on the podcast, the very first thing I want to start doing on the podcast, I started doing it the other day, but I really want to lead off the podcast with it. That's the word of the day. And it could sound stupid to lots of people. It's interesting to me, though. Just going to the dictionary.com app, or just dictionary.com, and taking a look at the word of the day. I want to see, first, before I look it up, if I can pronounce it, if I know what it means, and then we'll kind of just dive into it. Then through the course of the podcast, if I remembering is key, then I'm going to try to incorporate that word somehow into the podcast. No, won't necessarily be as effective as I want it to be. But, all right, I have no fucking idea what this word is. So this is Cameron Neve. Excuse me, Cameron Neve. I mispronounced it. So give that link a click if you're interested. Check it out. It's a young musician, man, just starting out. And it was cool. Some really cool, like, ethereal stuff, some pretty chunky, heavy stuff. So give that a listen. Schmate? Schmat. No, I'm looking at the pronunciation now. It is Schmatte. So it's not schmate, it's schmata. No, wait. Schmata. Yeah, that was right. What the fuck does that mean? I do like learning, man. Do this. Oh, let me kill my Bluetooth so I can just play this fucking thing right into the speaker. Jeez, oh Pete, Smitty, come on. Schmata.
Schmata.
Schmata. That was right. Definitions and examples. An old, ragged garment, tattered article of clothing. There you go. That was pretty easy. It is, and I really like to check out the origins of the words, too. Schmata, excuse me. An old, ragged garment is an Americanism adapted from Yiddish schmet, rag, from Polish schmata, of the same meaning. Though much of Yiddish vocabulary comes from German, it uses the Hebrew writing system as an alphabet and treats silent Hebrew consonants as vowels. You're like, that's fucking fascinating, Smitty. Way to start off a podcast. So at some point, maybe I will work in schmata. It's not looking very promising, but you never know. So I have an announcement coming up, and I'm not going to keep you waiting for it very long. I'm sure you're not clamoring for it necessarily. Before I get to the announcement, I just want to go through a couple little pivots in the podcast that are going to happen and that I'm pretty excited about, and I feel like I need to real quick just kind of my intent with the podcast, what I want to do when I left radio on purpose. I just felt stifled 100%. And I'm like, I want to do a show. I want to do my show, but my version of it where I'm not censored, where I can use my creativity and just freedom of thought, and the internet provides that. You know what I mean? For the longest time, I didn't know how to do the internet version of my show. I've kind of done it a lot through trial and error, and I finally figured out, kind of how I want it to be. So the version of the What the Hell Everything podcast that you're seeing now or listening on Spotify or wherever is kind of the way I've been envisioning it. Plus guests and things, and what did I see the other day? I saw my podcast recap, the numbers for downloads, and to say that I was less than thrilled is probably an understatement. But here's the thing: I am so fucking thrilled at the growth of the YouTube channel, the Smitty Smithhole Slipper Club, on Facebook. Thrilled. The reach of what I'm trying to do has just grown and grown and grown. And, starting doing these reaction videos just about a year ago has really opened a lot of fucking doors and a lot of eyes to what I'm doing, and it has been awesome. But my main focus and passion is the fucking podcast, man. And seeing those numbers, I'm like, this is not where I want it to be. This is not where I want it to be. And I am so fucking focused and driven on delivering the sort of fucking show and a thing that I want to do, just to prove to myself that I can do it. And knowing that you have the talent and the drive and the passion and determination and all that shit to get it done, but you gotta have people see it, So the YouTube page has brought a lot of attention. But when I live stream these podcasts, I do it on Patreon, and not a lot of people see them. So I'm like, you know what? It's time to start pimping this podcast out a little bit more. So here's where the pivot comes. The live streams for the podcast have been on Patreon for a while now. So as of right now, they will be on YouTube, the live streams for the podcast, where by all means, please, you're invited. Please chime in on the comment section on the live chat and, trying to build some interaction on this thing for sure. So that's going to happen. But I'm also going to keep on Patreon, obviously, going down rabbit holes with reaction videos, full album reactions, all that kind of stuff. But also adding to Patreon, essentially, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but
like a live stream reaction marathon where you just go on and patrons, whoever's on there, can kind of chime in and say, hey, react to this or react to that, and it's just a fun fucking way to grow the show and to increase content, So that's going to be happening soon. I gave a little testies. And, it's something I'm looking forward to. And having the time to do it is key. I work a job. I have other things I'm doing as well. So that is happening as of now. Obviously, live streaming on YouTube. Goes on Spotify, all the other audio platforms when it's done. And I'm going to try to be kicking these things out as much as I can. It's tough sometimes, but I feel really fucking positive of the direction of where this is going. So, that's that. That's that pivot detail that I wanted to get into before this announcement. And I'm pretty fucking excited about it, so stick around until the end for some explanation. Some old followers of mine might need an explanation. Some new followers of mine might need an explanation. I'm going to give it to you coming up in about 26 seconds. If you're listening on Spotify, you're just going to have to wait about 26 seconds. What the hell, everything? Yes, I am bringing the Metallicathon to YouTube. I know there's people that are going to probably need an explanation. How the fuck are you going to bring it to YouTube? Just like how I'm doing now. Except with a lot more cool shit and flair. I hate to even say flair, But here's the thing. I think there's a lot of people, including myself, because it took me a while to kind of convince myself that I could do this on YouTube. I did it on the radio 11 years in a row. And obviously left the radio in 2019. Well, not 2019, but pretty close. And I haven't done it since. Obviously, I haven't been on the radio. And when I first started on the radio station, the first time I did it, the album Death Magnetic was coming out. And I'm a fucking Metallica nerd. And I somehow convinced management to let me do a 12-hour Metallicathon where I played the new album in full at some point during it. And it was an overnight thing. And for the next 10 years, including a full proper 26.2-hour marathon, live, 12 hours. And it was one of my favorite fucking things. And a lot of people fucking loved it, man. So when I left the radio, it wasn't even a thought that why would I do a Metallica that wasn't on the radio, But with the news of the new album dropped, my brain got kicking when the new album news dropped for 72 Seasons out April 14th. I was like, God, it would be really fun to just do a Metallica then. But even then, a couple weeks ago, I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. It's going to be stupid. Why would anybody fucking tune that in? Then I'm like, you could say the same thing about the radio. Why would anybody tune in to Metallicathon when you can hear it, all those songs, when you could just tune in the same thing on YouTube? You know what I mean? You can absolutely, and I can absolutely pull this off, man. It's, like the radio, Metallica allows you to use their music. They get paid for it. That's how it works. It's similar to the radio. And I'm like, you know what? I can really fucking pimp this thing out. And I can really do some cool, video cuts of a song and just add some aspects to it that I couldn't do on the fucking radio. Plus the uncensored aspect of it, So, yeah, man. Saturday. No, not Saturday. That seems like the natural day of the week, but the album drops on a Friday. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Including a full live album reaction. Which means I'm telling myself this, and you right now, I'm saying that I am not going to listen to any more singles that get released from that album, 72 Seasons. And if you know me even a little bit, you know that's going to be really fucking hard to do. I want to save it all for the album reaction. And I am actually really fucking excited for this, man. My brain has been going, and I needed this creative little spark. I thrive on being creative, man. If I'm not, I feel stuck. If I'm not doing a project, I just feel like I'm missing out. You know, I want to do creative fucking cool things. So the answer is yes, I can and will. I'm like the 2022 Detroit Lions. This is the year that I can and will do a fucking Metallica-thon on YouTube, man. And that is going to be fucking awesome. Logistically speaking, I'm trying to think of because I did a test. I know Metallica allows it, but I did like an hour-long test. And it turned up totally, just in case you wonder how it works, how you can get away with playing music for like reaction videos on YouTube. Essentially, when you upload it, it tells you ahead of time if you're going to, if the band or the management or whomever, the record label allows that music to be used. So it's just like I tested it out for an hour, and it was totally good, copyright free. Not copyright free, but you get what I'm saying. You don't get nailed for it necessarily. And I'm like, there you go. I could fucking do this shit, man. So that's happening. And I am really, really doggone excited to bring the 12th annual just a few years later. When was the last year I did it? 2019 was the last year I did it, I want to say. Used to do it at the beginning of the month, January, every year. And I am so excited to do this. So any old radio listeners, tune it in. Guess what? I'm not sure a lot of people know how YouTube works necessarily. There's probably a lot of people that it's still foreign idea to, but you can turn it on. You can even, on my phone anyway, you can even minimize the app out and it still plays the video. Turn your Bluetooth on. You can even listen to it while you're fucking driving, man. So, keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. It gets some new people. It gets some old people kind of like it. Old people that have been following me for a while. And I really want to do it for no other reason than I fucking love Metallica. It feels weird that I've made a semi small name for myself in the region of Northern Michigan, with Metallica. And I remember, and I tell the story all the time about, when I was a kid and I was a kind of a troubled youth, and Metallica was one of those bands that got me through. They were that band that got me through. But it's like the classic parent response to a troubled kid that listens to Metallica all the time. My dad's famous quote is that goddamn Metallica you listen to. And I kind of turned the tables on it, and made a fucking career out of just like my passion for Metallica. There was way more than that, but that kind of how it started, and I just kind of maintained that. And I'm like, why should I stop? I was telling a friend of mine today, I was kind of picking some brains about it, and the overall response is, yeah, you should do it. And I'm just like, I think I was just saying something along the lines of, look, I tried to talk myself out of it forever. And the fact of the matter is I can absolutely do it here. I have a passion for it, so I'm fucking doing it, man. Metallica-thon, April 14th, Friday, 10 a.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a live full album reaction to the new album, 72 Seasons. And I am fucking stoked for it, man. Hey, after all that, it's time to partake. Need a 420 break.
Boys. Water bomb so smooth you don't realize how high you're getting till it's too late. I am fucked up out here.
And it's your 420 break for Thursday. What the fuck day is it? January 12th, 2023. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. This is not the fucking news. I simply take 4 or 5 news stories for a 420 break and talk shit about them. All right? Hopefully in a lighthearted way, somewhat thoughtful, maybe. You never know. First up on the 420 break. New York, statewide, it's not a done deal yet, but New York weighing East Coast's first statewide building gas ban. Goes down. I have no idea how to pronounce the name for the governor of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul. We'll give it that go. Called yesterday for the nation's most aggressive ban on fossil fuels in new buildings, setting the stage for a possible showdown with the gas industry and state lawmakers. Yeah. In her State of the State speech, she urged, I almost said argued, that's not the word, urged the state legislature to phase out the sale of fossil fuel heating equipment in existing residential buildings beginning in 2030 and 2035 in commercial ones. She also proposed requiring new residential and commercial buildings to be all electric by 2025 and 2030, respectively. I'm sure that's going to go over really well. Not to discount the need for it, probably. Like, there is climate change, if you believe in that sort of thing. But even if there wasn't, right, I think we can all agree, maybe we can't, that fossil fuel at some point is expendable. Like, we will run out eventually. When that is, I don't know. I'm not fucking smart enough. There are differing opinions on that. But at some point it is. So at some point we will have to hopefully remove ourselves, if we're still around by that point, remove ourselves from fossil fuels, etc., and switch to something more sustainable. And in this case, it's electric. Come on, fusion. Come on, fusion. So it's like, if you face that realistically, you know it has to happen, right? But you also know that it is going to be, like, what's the fucking, the metaphor there? Pulling the scab off, pulling the Band-Aid off, you know? That's a tough one to pull off for a lot of fucking people, man. The idea of having, if I'm reading this correctly, phasing out, especially residential buildings, that's one thing, man. We start talking about poor people that can't afford it. I'm sure they will probably work out some sort of, like, assistance program to help people convert, if that's the case. But having people convert by 2025 residentially is fucking tough, man. So I don't know. I'm not smart enough to, like, know the answer, obviously. It sounds like it's going to suck. It sounds like it's going to suck. Moving on. That was joyful. I didn't know this was a fucking thing. Apparently, cops use nunchucks. Don't mind me as I take a sip. In Denver, sheriff's deputy suspended for breaking inmate's wrist with nunchucks. I don't want to get into the excessive force aspect, which is what the cop is getting nailed for, serving a 3-day suspension. Deputy Daniel Rodriguez. I don't want to get into my thoughts on the police. I have my criticisms, but I also acknowledge that it's a tough job to do, you know? It's a tough job, and how to most effectively and safely and quickly neutralize an escalating situation. Could it be done with nunchucks? a nunchuck's the job for that fucking, the tool for that job. And I think I saw, I don't know, I think I saw from the nunchucks that I saw that the police actually use, it's not as, like, flexible, the rope part in between the actual chucks. I think that's what they're called. I'm not a fucking ninja, you know, but neither are these goddamn police. But I think the bendy part is like rubber almost, or like really tough material, so you can bend it like steel almost. Not bend it like steel. Hopefully you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But you can use it to, like, do wrist maneuvers, fucking break wrists or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's what it looks like. That's what it was for. I think I saw it used in that context. But either way, there are police that have fucking nunchucks. They're banning that in Denver now, by the way. Why it was allowed from the get-go? How many more? It's like, of all the tools available, you chose nunchucks. You're not fucking Bruce Lee. Next on the 420 break. From England. From West Midlands. What's the headline on this story? Coventry cat cutter keeps shaving perfect squares onto people's pets. Motherfuckers, leave my cats alone. First of all, that is not a perfect square. Nor is that a perfect square. But son of a bitch, man. It's like, there's not the harshest punishment for something like animal cruelty, animal abuse. Well, where would that fall on the line of like animal abuse cases as far as severity goes? You know, they haven't found this fucking guy yet. He's just walking around town fucking shaving pussies. A-hole. Not shaving a-holes as far as I know. Next on the 420 break, I have the story, and I'm like, why do I want to talk this shit about this guy? Because he's doing what he wants? I usually am a champion for that sort of thing, but there's something so douchebaggery about it. Eric Finkelstein, 34 years old, embarked on a gut-busting mission to eat at 18 of the acclaimed eateries within a 24-hour period. A New York man has set a world record for... he has set. I thought he was going to. Shows you how much I fucking prepare. Has done it already, set a world record for eating at the most Michelin-starred restaurants in a single day. First of all, call me uncouth, but I thought Michelin was a tire. Two, man, he had to work at, like, coordinating it. He had the idea during the pandemic. He moved out of New York, and he's like, you know what I want to do? I want to eat at all the Michelin-starred restaurants in a single day. Apparently, that means, like, the best. But he had to plan it out because you got to reserve tables, and you can't necessarily. It's hard to reserve 18 tables for a single day at these fancy-ass restaurants in New York City. The idea, which last month was officially recognized by Guinness World Records, came to him during the pandemic when he moved out of the city. After temporarily moving back in 2021, Finkelstein compiled a list of top spots he planned to eat at. He also joined an online food group, which is where he first heard of the challenge. Having set 2 other world records, both related to table tennis. What? I feel like I should research this fucking guy. He's just over here setting records, man. Anyway, he did that. There's no really good moral conclusion to any of my 420 break stories. It's just, I got the gist. Fuck that guy. Just kidding. Hey, finally, on the 420 break. Sometimes, when I did this segment on the radio, occasionally I would just have a story where all you need is the headline. That's it. That's all. All you need is the headline. That tells the fucking story. And finally, the DEA spends an average of $4.20 for every marijuana plant that they uproot. There you go. That's your 420 break. Eat some Doritos, chill out, and get your ass back to work. Back to the podcast.
Hey, old man. I got the fucking munchies real bad. How about you?
Hey. Smoke weed every day.
And there you go. Hopefully you feel better. I feel better, although I did not actually partake during the 420 break like I do a lot of times. Had a couple edibles, though. I'm still feeling all right. Words are escaping me. What, Smitty? I wanted to get into this next thing to talk about. And I happened to see it on the local news station, 9 and 10 News, home of good friend Michael Stevens. And I saw it when I looked. I saved it on Sunday during the Sunday morning talk practice podcast. And when I went back and looked at what I had saved, the first few words, I'm like, why did I save this? The first few words, a B-52 crashed in Lake Michigan in 1971. And I'm like, why did I save this? Oh, just keep reading. 1 minute shy, 1 minute shy of causing a devastating nuclear meltdown. Oh, yeah, that's why I fucking saved it. So I just kind of want to read through this. I have no idea what the fuck happened in my stomping grounds of northern Michigan here 52 years ago. This story is from Elizabeth Hosang. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. 52 years ago on January 7th, the B-52 bomber and its crew of 9 plunged into the frigid depths of Lake Michigan, killing all aboard. Witnesses described seeing a massive fireball around 6:30 p.m. descending like a setting sun in the dark January sky. What was already a tragic loss of life could have been an irreversible environmental disaster as the plane was headed directly toward the Big Rock Point nuclear power plant in Charlevoix. If the aircraft, come on, Smitty with words. If the aircraft crashed approximately 1 minute later, it would have been precisely over the plant. The bomber crashed, though, and then when I see, this is great, not reading it ahead of time, I thought that there was like a nuclear weapon on board this fucking plane. No. The bomber crashed, though, in Little Traverse Bay, close to Harbor Springs, approximately 6 miles from Bayshore, which at the time was home to the U.S. Air Force radar station. Radar bomb scoring sites such as these were used to assess the efficiency of bomber crews using radar pulses, enunciation is key, to feign bomb drops. The Bayshore site began operations in 1963 and oversaw high and low-level radar bomb scoring until it's decommissioned 22 years later. So there you go. I mean, that's the gist. It almost crashed into a nuclear power plant. There was no nuclear bombs on board. I'm glad I checked that out. Oh, you know what I did want to talk about, though? Couple different things. 2 more things for sure, and then who knows how long I'm going to blab on after this. 2 of my favorite characters in fucking cinema history, in my opinion, are played by Ke Huy Quan. Why can't I fucking say his name? Data in Goonies and Short Round in Temple of Doom. And for the longest time, I was like, what the fuck ever happened to that guy? Like, he was so fun. Again, as a child actor, he was just so fun and engaging and was arguably the best fucking character in those movies. And I never, heard anything from him again. You know? What the fuck was he in? He just won a Golden Globe. And we're going to pull this up because I saw this acceptance speech and I thought it was really worth playing because it was one of the nicest things I've ever seen, really. He won a Golden Globe for the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. He was the devoted and daffy partner of Michelle Yeoh's Evelyn. I don't know what the movie's about, but it won Golden Globes. But to see his acceptance speech, and I'm going to pull this up, and this whole new technology that I'm doing, being able to stream live videos, there's like this little, there's some clunky steps I got to take, so hopefully it doesn't look too stupid. But I wanted to play his acceptance speech because it was just the nicest thing.
So long,
Wow. Thank you so much.
Like, you can tell how genuinely fucking just out of his mind, excited and nervous, and you could just see it.
Forget where I came from, and to always remember who gave me my first opportunity. I am so happy to see Steven Spielberg here tonight. Steven, thank you.
It makes me so happy.
When I started my career as a child actor in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I got to cut him off. I'm sorry. I got to say, usually almost always, I don't give two fucks about what happens like on an award show at all. Yeah, I think there was a time up until the last like 6 or 7 years that I liked watching the Oscars. But even that now, I'm just like, it's just too much, too much ridiculous. But I really love seeing somebody just kind of break through, I fucking love this.
In Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I felt so very lucky to have been chosen. As I grew older, I started to wonder if that was it, if that was just luck. For so many years, I was afraid that I had nothing more to offer. That no matter what I did, I would never surpass what I achieved as a kid. Thankfully.
It's so like in a lot of ways, I'm sure he's done so many awesome things in his life. I don't know what his profession is. I don't know, aside from acting, I don't know if he makes enough as an actor before this anyway to make a living. I'm sure he has to have been done a lot of great things in his life. He's married. I think he mentions her later. I don't know if he has kids, but there's got to be so many great memories and things you've done, but to just hold your focus on that aspect of your life is the greatest part, or it's a weird thing. I understand it, but it also makes you wonder how he saw his life.
More than 30 years later, two guys thought of me. They remembered that kid. And they gave me an opportunity to try again.
Dude, that's so awesome. It really is awesome. That was one of the nice, and I just clicked it. Again, I don't really ever care anything for award shows, but I just happened to click and I'm like, oh, that guy won an award for acting? And I think I had seen that he was in this movie. I think I saw it somewhere posted on something. And it was just really nice. I loved that kid, and for years I'm just like, you hate to see somebody as a child actor that you never see again, because you always wonder what happened to them. You also wonder what happened to you too. Let me pull this news story up. It's worth mentioning a little bit. First of all, I'm clearing my throat a lot. I apologize. I have to admit, I'm an unabashed U2 fan. Although primarily the pre-2000s, right up until the time of Beautiful Day, maybe a short amount of period of time after that record, I loved a lot of their music, but for something after the 2000s just kind of put me off a little bit. I can't necessarily put my finger on it. I think I don't know what it is. I think a lot of the criticism about U2 has to do with Bono. And people talk shit about Bono. I'm like, he seems like he's trying to legitimately help people. But he's very loud about it. And I think that's the problem people have with him. I think the music may have taken on some of that vision, activist vision, and I don't know if it really stuck with me. I like a lot of activist rock and roll, and I like a lot of rock and roll because it's activist. A lot of fucking U2's music I loved because it was activist. But we're going to take a listen to one of these songs from this selection of U2, who have reimagined 40 of their songs on a new album called Songs of Surrender. And again, I'm a big U2 fan, man. Pre-2000s, I've listened to the shit out of U2 for the longest time, and I still do occasionally. And I'm looking at the quote from The Edge, who previewed the project in a handwritten note to his fans.
The fact is that most of our work was written and recorded when we were a bunch of very young men. Those songs mean something quite different to us now. Some have grown with us, some we have outgrown, but we have not lost sight of what propelled us to write these songs in the first place. The essence of these songs is still in us, but how to reconnect with that when we have moved on and grown so much, essentially is what he's saying. Now, reading further in, I think they re-recorded everything. I don't know about musical parts, but I know lyrical parts, Bono says he has added to them. It was a really fun quote. A really fun fucking quote from Bono. Essentially, he said, there we go. It also meant that I could deal with something that's been nagging me for some time. The lyrics on a few songs that I've always felt were never quite written. They are now, I think, which is very George Lucas of him, just to go back and just like, we're going to write some new shit over this. You can't erase the old stuff, though, like George Lucas did. So we're going to take a listen to Pride in the Name of Love. And this is off Songs of Surrender and reimagined, re-recorded. And the original is one of my favorite fucking songs ever, man. I love you too. So what the fuck did they do to this? Let's find out.
One man comes in the name of love, one man to come and go. One man comes he to justify, one man to overthrow. In the name of love, one more in the name of love.
It sounds really nice. It simply just sounds like a stripped down, different presentation, acoustic performance, similar to how like Metallica's done with a lot of their stuff recently. But other than that, it just sounds like a stripped down, like acoustic jam, you know?
In the name of love, what more in the name of love? One man caught in a barbed wire fence, one man he resists. One boy washed up on an empty beach, one boy never will be kissed. In the name of love, one more in the name of love. In the name of love, one more in the name of love.
I like what they're doing here. It doesn't sound terribly different. I definitely miss like the soaring Pride of Love vocals. I was thinking about the Edge quote where he's like, songs we get tired of, songs we've outgrown. And you wonder if like this is one of those. You wonder if this is one of those songs. And it's so funny to me when I see, read, hear about bands that are like, I'm sick of fucking playing this song for the millionth time, and it's like one of the greatest songs ever written, and as a fan you're like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about.
April 4, the shot rings out in the Memphis sky. Free at last, they took your life, they could not take your pride.
I have to think about how this would make me feel if I were listening to a cover and somebody were doing the cover this way. I would have to think about how I would feel, and I would think that I would fucking like it a lot. I'd be like, wow, this is a great version of U2 if I heard this on the radio. Who the fuck is doing this U2 song? It sounds really good. Soaring vocals. I appreciated the hell out of that, man. Again, when you hear something like that, when you say, "Oh, they're gonna re-record and reimagine and all these kind of things," how is that going to go? And it went really well. I really feel like I might, I don't think I'll give it a full album reaction treatment on Patreon, but I will on my own time. And definitely, man, fucking U2. I really do like that band, man. I appreciate them, and I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. Do we want to see if we have any live stream comments whatsoever? I always like to check. You never know if you're going to get them or not. Don't have any today, but you build it, they will come. And thank you for joining me on the podcast. Thanks for checking it out. Please like and subscribe. That is huge. That always helps. And remember, reaction videos happening all the time. Patreon link is in the description. That's where we're going down rabbit holes. What the Hell Everything reaction marathons, live stream reaction marathons happening on Patreon as well. Very, very soon, including Sunday morning talk practice at some point soon. I keep saying this, but I will bring back the Rock and Roll Roundtable album review podcast with December and Michael. I can't wait for that. So all sorts of stuff down the road, all sorts of stuff happening, and I am out. Thank you, guys.
So long, sucker.
Good night, everybody!
I am so sorry for everything that has happened.
Neat. Bye-bye.
Yeah, all right. I'll see you guys there.
By the bar and get your face, huh? Get me paid, bitch!
Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog.
I love y'all very much. Peace out!
Good night, ladies.
What the hell?